All right, I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about the new digital marketing analytics e-textbook that we are launching. And I'm really excited for you all to hear from our author, Nathan David. We're going to get started just here in a second. First, I wanted to show you a quick navigation tutorial of Demio, which is the webinar platform that we're using today. Hi, Ross. Thanks for joining us from smoky Calgary. Well, I hope the smoke goes away soon. I know that a lot of regions of our country and Canada are having a problem right now with fires, so I hope you're okay. Everyone use the chat and say hello. Wow, it's awesome to see so many different countries. Italy, Finland. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, chat in where you're from. How many of you have been to a Stukent webinar before? I'm always interested to see how many people have been to one of these before. Yes, yes. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I know most of you are probably busy, in the middle of the semester, but thank you for your time. Really quickly, I'm just going to show you where you can find the different features in Demio. So most of you have already found the chat. Please feel free to use the chat throughout the webinar. Ask questions. I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. Nathan will be keeping an eye on it too. We'll answer questions during the webinar. Most of the questions we'll save for the Q&A. So you can use the chat throughout the webinar. There are going to be handouts here soon. We have a couple instructor resources for you that you can take. And that's about it. So really quickly, I'll read off an agenda, what we're going to be talking about today. So for all of you who are not familiar with Stukent, I'm sure most of you are, but Stukent is a digital courseware provider. We are all about up-to-date digital textbooks and hands-on learning, pairing simulations that give students real practice. And we have been around for about 7 years. And you may have heard of our flagship products, Digital Marketing Essentials, Mimic Pro, and Mimic Social. Today, I'm going to introduce our author, Nathan David. We're going to show you a couple of videos. He will discuss the creation process of the text, show you around the book and the resources, and then we're going to do a 15-minute Q&A at the end. So the total presentation will be about 40 minutes, and then we'll save about 15 to 20 minutes for the questions at the end. For all of you, we're going to send you the recording of this after, probably later today or early Monday morning. So don't worry, we're going to send you a recording of this, and I can send you the slide deck. All right, so I'm going to introduce Nathan now, and here's his bio. So Nathan David has over 10 years of experience in digital marketing and business analytics, and he has driven results for a range of businesses from Fortune 500 companies to large health systems such as Cleveland Clinic. Reflecting on his career, the marketing skills that fueled his success were initially cultivated through agency work. Therefore, his past experience as a consultant at Publicis Sapient and current experiences as the founder of Meta Impact inform many of the experiential activities in his courses. He is passionate about teaching and currently serves as an adjunct faculty instructor at Marquette University. He frequently leads workshops and speaks at industry-leading conferences such as Content Marketing World. Nathan is a self-proclaimed health nut and partakes in healthy cooking classes, spinning, and the occasional wellness retreat. All right, without any further ado, we'll welcome Nathan.
Thanks for that kind introduction. So I like to say the journey of creating this textbook isn't just the year journey of me starting the first chapter to finishing and launching today. It's a 10-year plus journey of me learning about digital marketing and digital marketing analytics. So I started in digital marketing at college. Through course taught by Irene Dickey at University of Dayton, who uses Stukent. So I learned from Stukent the foundation of my knowledge. And then I took that into my work at agencies right out of college. At agencies, I got to work with huge brands like LensCrafters, Sephora, Macy's, and I really loved the work I was doing. And over time, I realized that the people in the room that had the most influence and the individuals that people were turning to were the individuals who had expertise in digital marketing and analytics. And the analytics was so powerful. And if you understood the data, if you had your arms around the data, then you got more opportunities. And so really embracing that and learning about analytics throughout my career took me to a director level role at Cleveland Clinic, and then ultimately to my own consultancy. And now I teach at Marquette, as Adam indicated. So I am actively consulting and I'm teaching full time. So I hope that what I put together is something that gives you a tool that makes your job easier, but also the reassurance that this is actually relevant to the industry and what's happening today in marketing and digital marketing analytics. So that's a little trajectory of how this book came about. All that experience really has been baked into what you're going to see today. So with that, let's jump into the video overview of the book.
On top of industry trends. Not to mention the time it takes to gather resources and create projects that give students hands-on practice and access to industry tools they'll need to compete in the job market. That's where Digital Marketing Analytics comes in. This unique digital courseware is updated twice a year, so it's easy to keep current. And what's more, every chapter is packed with assignments and resources that give students critical job skills and allow them to compete in a rapidly growing and constantly changing field. Students get practice working with industry tools like Google Analytics, Data Studio, Facebook Analytics, SEMrush, and more. Each chapter also includes a video tutorial walking students through different digital marketing platforms and how they can be used. In total, there are more than 100 teaching resources, 15 chapters, 1 syllabus and course outline, 13 assignments, 12 video tutorials, 15 lesson plans, 13 expert sessions, 15 lecture presentations, 15 quizzes.
I wrote this textbook because as a digital marketing and digital marketing analytics teacher, it was extremely complex to pull together all the different channels within digital marketing and not spend hours and hours of prep time. I wanted a resource for myself and for teachers so that they had a one-stop shop where they could refer to and effectively teach their classes.
Save hours of prep time and give your students the skills and experience they need to compete in the workforce. Fill out the form on this page to get free access to digital marketing analytics and see the difference for yourself.
Well, I hope that all of you were able to hear that video okay. If not, we'll send it to you here in the chat. But before we get started, I wanted to make sure that you got a couple good instructor resources. So we have a sample syllabus for the Digital Marketing Analytics course and a sample course calendar that you can download. So if you go over in the top right and click on handouts, you can download that sample syllabus that Nathan has put together and the sample course schedule. So you can get a good idea of how you could, implement this textbook into your course and hopefully learn from that. So let me hop back in the slides here. So I wanted to briefly just mention what makes this digital textbook different. Okay, so the content is very clear and concise. It teaches students the universal language for analyzing all channels of digital marketing. So it is very well-rounded. There is content and activities, assignments on social media, paid search, SEO, display, email. Next, it's very current. It's going to be updated twice a year, and we have an amazing dedicated author that is devoted to keeping this textbook up to date. So you don't have to worry about teaching something that's not current anymore. The instructor resources are turnkey. They make it really easy for you to implement this textbook into your course, and it's going to save you time. It's also paired with hands-on learning. Something that I'm really, really excited about that are in this textbook are the analytics video tutorials and activities. So in most of the chapters, there are digital marketing platform activities. So activities that are based around things like Google Analytics, Tag Manager, Facebook Analytics, MailChimp, a whole bunch of different platforms. And Nathan has made video tutorials that walk the students through, not only how to get into the platform, but how to navigate. He has workarounds for how to get in there for free. I know that's a hassle sometimes with different platforms. And then it's connected to the activity. So it's really easy for you as the instructor to pick up and give this to your students, and they can learn in a really interactive way. And then lastly, it gives you the satisfaction of knowing that your students are going to be equipped with relevant industry knowledge, and it'll give you pride hearing about their careers and their successes. There's some really cool things in the textbook that we call resume builders. We're going to have a list of things that they can add to their resume after finishing this course. Nathan, you're on mute.
A little bit about the process of me creating the textbook. This really was created with the end user in mind. So you, the instructors, as well as the students. And as Adam talked about, it really is designed to be everything you need to teach a digital marketing analytics course. So even if you didn't supplement it with anything in addition to what was in the textbook, the students would leave with really actionable knowledge as well as a really great theoretical knowledge of digital marketing analytics as a whole. So one thing I was balancing through the process of outlining and then ultimately creating the textbook is how do you balance theory with the job skills? You want to make sure that you give students a solid understanding of theory about digital marketing and analytics, as well as specific job skills. And a lot of times courses can get too deep into one or the other, be too theoretical, and it's not practical for them once they go to an interview and they can't talk about a specific job skill that they gained, or it can be too job skill oriented and that student is more of like a doer and they can maybe do something in Google Analytics, but they don't know why they're doing it. So I like to refer to this as the balance of why and how. So the theory is why are we doing this? Why is this important? Why is this important to the business? And then the job skills are how. So we'll use Excel to execute that analysis, or we'll use Google Analytics to execute on that specific business question that we have. So that was the philosophy that I used as I went in the process of creating the book. And I feel like at the end, we ended up with a nice mix of the two. So looking at the table of contents for the book, you can see there's 15 different chapters by design. Most semesters are about 15 weeks long, so it lends really well to a semester format. And what we can see is the first 7 chapters are really more theory-based, so they're the why. Why digital marketing analytics? What are digital consumers? What are digital companies? What's a measurement model? How do we analyze and make decisions? And then with chapter 8 through 15, that's really the how. It's how do we conduct web analytics using Google Analytics? How do we conduct social media analytics using Facebook Analytics? And so on and so forth. So the first section is really getting them that theory. And then the second section of the book is all about providing them with those job skills that they can actually include on their resume, and they will likely use in their first job that they land after school. So taking a step back and looking at the theory, I wanted to have a very clear framework for the structure of the book. And when I sat down and I outlined what the book would have and how everything would fit together, I started by visualizing it, and it became this, the Digital Marketing Analytics Framework. And so this digital marketing analytics framework is the backbone of the book. every single chapter you can refer back to this framework, and it provides context in what are we talking about and how does it relate to digital marketing analytics as a whole. So I'll just go over this quickly because you can get free access to the textbook and go through this in depth. But there's 4 different sections of the framework. It starts with inputs, then digital marketing media, then you, the analyst, which is the student in your classroom, they're the analyst, and then your company, so the company or organization that the student's working for. So the raw material that goes into this thing we call digital marketing analytics is all the raw data that consumers are providing, companies are providing. So consumers, they have specific needs, they're interacting online, and they're providing a lot of data. Same thing with companies. Not only your own company, but other organizations are doing marketing online, and that's contributing to data. And then I include governments here because it's important for students to understand that there's government regulations like GDPR and other things like that that impact what an analyst can do with data. You don't have free reign. You can't do everything you want with data. You have to understand the boundaries of what you can and can't do with this raw data. So all that data goes into these platforms that we think of as digital marketing. So they go to your website, they go to social media platforms, they go to email platforms. And I use a framework of owned, paid, and earned media, which probably many of you are familiar with, but it's just a way to break down the different media platforms like your website, like email, like paid search, paid social display, or earned media like PR online or reviews and ratings, and break it down into different buckets. And the nice thing is when you break it down into those buckets, the analytics for those different buckets behave very similar regardless of what platform is within that bucket. So now we have digital marketing media. So all that data flows into the media, and we have chapters that talk about each one of those buckets as well as specific platforms within. Then it's all about you, the analyst, which is when I'm talking to my students, they are the analysts. And I tell them, you're the analyst, you need to go through this decision-making process. You need to understand the business question. What is the question that you're trying to address? Maybe the business is trying to increase sales. So their question is how to increase sales or how to increase overall revenue. And then understand under that, what is the specific goal? Maybe increase website traffic by 50%. So you understand the question. Once you understand the question, then you can curate, meaning you can pull together data from various sources. Maybe you're pulling it from Google Analytics. Maybe you're pulling it from your internal database with customer information. Then once you have all that data connected and in one spot, you can analyze that data. So the student can analyze the data, extract insights, and then finally from those insights, you can optimize, meaning you can make recommendations and actually implement optimizations. And so those optimizations and recommendations flow through to your company. So those optimizations impact your company. The optimizations improve the results for your company. And the measurement model, which I don't have time to go like super in depth, is a portion of the textbook that I'm very proud of. And it talks about how companies actually measure performance. So as Adam said, digital marketing analytics is the language of digital marketing. The measurement platform is the dialect for a specific business. So if I'm working at Cleveland Clinic, they have a specific measurement model and dialect of different KPIs and goals and business objectives that they're speaking. And so that helps the students understand that, yeah, the universal language of digital marketing analytics applies to all businesses, but each business talks about it in a different way. So it's important to understand that dialect and be able to speak the way your business speaks. And ultimately, this is all driving to measurable results. So if you think about it as the analyst, the student being a miner, and they're extracting value from that raw material of the data that's coming from consumers and companies, the ultimate product that they're creating is measurable results for their company. So all the way from the left to the right, they're extracting value to drive measurable results for their business. So that is the framework and structure that every chapter refers back to. And this is the why and some of the how as well. So beyond just the framework and the theory, there's also very tangible job skills that are built in. And I feel passionate about helping my students land jobs not just be proficient at digital marketing analytics, but know how to position themselves and market themselves to get jobs in this very in-demand field of digital marketing and digital marketing analytics. So we outline specific resume builders, which are featured right here on my resume under the skills section. These 4 points are points that students can, if they fully engage in the class and they do all the assignments and readings, that they'll be able to articulate and speak to these 4 resume builder skills. So they can include these on their resume. And so these are the tangible things with me as I'm out in the world at my consultancy hiring individuals. These are skills that I want to see people having. And if people have these skills, then it definitely bubbles them up to the top of the resume stack when I'm considering people for hiring. So here you can see the resume builders. They're around being knowledgeable about Google Tag Manager and implementation of analytics, being competent in Google Data Studio, which is a way to visualize analytics similar to Tableau, proven skills analyzing data using Google Analytics, SEMrush, MailChimp, Facebook Analytics, Social Searcher, and Google Trends. And then finally, experienced in Excel using conditional formatting, if functions, pivot tables, linear regressions, and Solver. Okay, yeah, that's a mouthful and it's very specific, but I read so many resumes and it drives me crazy when someone says I'm proficient in Excel or proficient in digital marketing. These are specific tools and functions within Excel that they're going to learn through the video tutorials within the chapters, and they'll be able to have hands-on experience using those tools as well through the assignments. So this really, I'm proud of when I'm able to empower my students to put these sorts of things on their resume. So here are those different resume builders outlined. And the way that we're able to actually impart these skills is through video tutorials, which Adam was talking about before. So video tutorial is walking the individuals through these different platforms. All the platforms that I selected to walk through in the textbook are free. So they're fully free platforms that the students can access and they can work with real data. And I feel that's important because we don't want them just to have a theoretical knowledge of what Google Analytics is, but we also want them to be able to use the platform and interact with it. So we have a short video that just is like a highlight reel of the various video tutorials. And you won't be able to hear me talk. There's just music over top, but just so you can see a snapshot of me in platform showing students within this textbook how to use various tools. I'm really proud of that specific component of the textbook because I really struggle a lot with finding good tutorials that are up to date for various platforms. So I'll find a good one on YouTube, and then 2 months later, the Google Analytics interface will be updated, and then no longer is that video tutorial applicable. So the great thing about the textbook is I'm going to be going back every 6 months and reshooting these tutorials. And so you'll know that the tutorials are always up to date. And when you're sending your students to these videos, you're not going to get tons of questions of them saying, I don't see that button, or that interface looks different than the video you sent me. And so it just saves you so many headaches. So I'm excited that I'll have this resource for myself, and I'll have that structure to reshoot every 6 months. And hopefully you find value in that, because you can have the assurance that you don't have to shoot the video, or you don't have to find the most up-to-date one. And I use these, not only sometimes I'll assign the video for them to watch, sometimes I'll just show the demo video in class, so that I don't have to worry about maybe losing connectivity or something changing or going awry. I can just show the demo video and the class can learn the platform that way.
I just can't stress enough how awesome it is going to be to have these videos at your disposal, especially for hybrid or online classes. This makes it so easy on you to teach with these platforms. And it's important to teach with these different channels and platforms so that students can get their hands on these, because that's what they'll be doing in their job. So like Nathan said, every 6 months they're going to be updated. That is amazing that we're going to be able to do that. And you don't have to worry about a button not being there, just like Nathan said.
Chapters, you already have access to the syllabus and the course outline, which really just provide you structure for your course throughout the semester. We have 13 assignments, and those assignments normally align with the video tutorials. So there's a video tutorial on Google Analytics. The assignment is using the Google Analytics demo account, and they're working with real data, and then they answer questions based on that demo account. The great thing is since the demo account, you can have the student look back in the historical data. You don't have to figure out the answers yourself. All the answers are provided within the assignment instructions for the instructors. We have those 16 video tutorials, which we just talked about in depth. Don't need to touch on those anymore. We have lesson plans for all 15 chapters, so you know how I specifically teach my digital marketing analytics class, and you can take it or use it as a foundation, as the whole thing, or build on it. Expert sessions, which you probably are familiar with, but just instead of having guest speakers and the headache of trying to schedule those, we have 13 expert sessions that are aligned with the textbook content. The first expert session is for chapter 1, and it's actually by me, and it talks through the framework that we discussed at the beginning of this call. So it talks through the digital marketing analytics framework and a little about my career trajectory to get students excited about learning this topic and excited for what it can mean for their career. We have lecture presentation slides. So if you want to lecture on the chapters yourself, the slides are already made for you, and then 15 quizzes, which I find as a great way to ensure that students are reading and keeping up to date with the text. The quizzes can be required for them to complete at the end of each week or at the end of each chapter. We also have quiz review slides, so if you want to review the quizzes as a class, those are already made for you, so it's easy for you to review those with everyone. So those are all the resources. There's 100 plus, and we'll be adding and injecting more as we get feedback. But we actually have already gotten initial feedback. People are using the text for their classes right now, and we're getting great feedback from teachers, as well as I have gotten some feedback from professional development programs for existing professionals that work in recruiting, as well as placement of individuals who are already into their career 5-10 years. And they're very happy with the content and curriculum, and they're using it now to help get the individuals the skills they need to move into a digital marketing role where they might not have had those skills before.
Awesome. So next, I wanted to just share with you in platform of our Edify platform, where a few of these resources that we've talked about, where they're located, just so that when you get in, you don't feel lost and you can go straight to what you're looking for. Let me share my screen. All right. Okay, I think you can all see this. Sweet. So I'm in Edify right now, where the textbook is. And as you can see, there's our nice cover. There's an introduction section. A couple of the highlights here I wanted to point out are the resume builder slides, information about the expert sessions. Next, there's a table of contents here. You can review this. The sample syllabus and sample calendar are here. And then we'll get into the chapter content. So I'll go into chapter 3. So in the left navigation, here's where you're going to find everything in the chapter. So there's the learning objectives first, introduction. Then you get into the chapter content, broken up by section. There we go. Next, sorry about that. I think my login timed out. Just a minute. Sorry, everyone. While we're waiting for to log back in, I wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to get instructor access to the textbook so you can go through this yourself. So we're going to post that right now. Take 30 seconds to go ahead and go to that page and fill out the form to get free instructor access. You can review all of this on your own time. And my page is reloaded now, so once you're all done with that. Okay, that should be up now. So you can go to that page and fill out the form. I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that, and then we'll hop back into Edify. Sorry about the delay on that. There's always seems to be something that happens like that during a webinar. Okay. Try this again. All right. So as you can see, there's chapter content in each of these sections. And where you're going to find the video tutorials will be in the chapter content, actually. So in chapter 3, there's a tag manager section. And when there is a video tutorial that goes along with it, it'll be at the bottom of that section. So the student can read through the content, become familiar with the platform, and then they can watch the video. Each are about 20 minutes to 30 minutes long, and Nathan will be the host of those. And then there's a glossary, quiz platform. There's a tab for expert sessions. So whenever there is an associated expert session in the chapter, you can find those here. And next, lesson plan. And I really like the way Nathan outlined these lesson plans. They're very well organized. They give you teacher prep, student prep, considerations. As you can see, they're very robust. And just a note, on the folders that have a star, those are the instructor facing folders. So students won't be able to access those. So there's a copy of instructor presentation slides, quiz review slides, instructor guide, and then the student facing resources are here in this tab. And then next, you can find resources for the entire book down at the bottom in the left navigation. So lesson plans for all chapters, slides for all chapters, quiz review slides for all chapters. I won't spend too much more time sharing my screen in Edify, but make sure if you want a more detailed walkthrough of where everything is, make sure to schedule a demo with one of our course consultants. We're going to post a link right here. If you want a demo, it only takes about 15 minutes, and our course consultants can walk you through everything you might want to see and get your hands on all the resources that you want. So make sure to do that. All right. So next, we have kind of an exciting announcement for you all. So I'm going to bring the slides back up. And this is something that I am very, very excited about. And Nathan has been a huge part of this project as a subject matter expert to make sure that everything that we are building is real world and will be of value in a class like digital marketing analytics. So we are launching a new simulation here very soon called Mimic Digital Marketing Analytics. This is a simulation built to pair perfectly with his textbook. And it's going to give the students that real world experience and practice alongside, learning the theory and learning those individual digital marketing platforms and how they work. They're going to be able to practice in a simulation as well. And that really just enhances their experience. Through a lot of surveys and a lot of responses from students, we've learned that simulations are a great way for them to really engage in the course. So I wanted to share with you the learning objectives. We're not going to go too far into the simulation today because we don't have time, but you're going to hear more about this very soon. So the learning objectives of the simulation are: understand the importance of strategically prioritizing digital marketing analytics projects, know how to effectively allocate budget to maximize profits, experience that vanity metrics, things like impressions and clicks, have limited utility, and that KPIs such as ROI should be used in their place. Expose students to various digital marketing decision-making scenarios, and perform A/B testing and web analytics. So before, go ahead, Nathan.
I've worked really closely on this simulation. So it's not a replica of what you're getting within the textbook. So the textbook has the demo Google Analytics tutorial and a demo of Facebook Analytics and other platforms like that. Where we could get the student into actual platforms, we get them into the actual platform for within the textbook. So we get them into Google Analytics, we get them into Facebook Analytics. And so we're not trying to replicate those tools. Instead, I talked with Stukin and I said, what is an experience that we cannot provide the students with without a simulation? And so the two things that came top of mind were, it's hard to get lots of data around A/B testing and allow a student to go through multiple tests because it's just not feasible when you're using one of the free tools, because you need a lot of traffic and a lot of people interacting with your website. So that's the first component. And it gives students tons of feedback and lots of rounds. So it allows them to interact and do A/B testing and make decisions based on the data that they're seeing from those tests. And then the other component is, let's give students access to performance data for 100+ digital marketing campaigns. So across social, across search, across display, across affiliate, and give them access to all this data, and then say, now that you have access, let's make decisions off of that. There's nothing out there that you can just tap into free data for some business and they give you access to all of their campaign performance data. So the goal is to allow the students to work with data that is dynamic and changing, and allows them to go through exercises that they might not be exposed to until they were actually working at a company. So that when they're at that company and someone asks them, hey, how do we improve this page? Or, hey, we have 100 campaigns. I don't know which one's performing best. Where should we focus our energy? It allows them to actually prioritize and be that strategic voice and hopefully accelerate their career, because they're able to think in ways that people can't wrap their head around because they haven't worked with data like that before. So that's my 2 cents. It's basically, we're not replicating existing tools that are free for people to access. We're just providing students with a plethora of data that they can analyze and experiences that they normally would only have once they work at an organization. So I think we might have lost Adam. Let me jump to the last slide, which was Adam's slide, but this is the pricing, just so everybody has that. So here is the pricing for digital marketing analytics. It's $79.99 per student, and that includes lifetime access. So that's really nice for the students, especially the video tutorials. If they get rusty with Google Analytics, they can come back and they can polish up on their skills so that when their manager asks them to open a Google Analytics account and start doing some analysis, they have a reference point for that. So that's the pricing. And now we were going to jump into questions. So feel free to type in questions you might have for me, and then Stu Kent will jump on, I'm sure, shortly, and they can answer any questions that I won't be able to answer myself.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. So I stole your thunder, and I shared the pricing and that it includes lifetime access. And if you didn't have anything else, we're to take.
I do have a couple things before we hop into the Q&A. Sorry about that. So Nathan, thank you for explaining the simulation. You do it so much more eloquently than me, and that's why you're the subject matter expert. But really quick, before we hop into the questions for Nathan, I wanted to make sure to pop up this form for you. So if you want to get on the wait list to hear about the simulation as soon as it is released and ready for instructors to get in, please fill out the form. There's also some more information on that page that you can learn about the learning objectives, what the simulation actually looks like, and why you should use it in your course. So go ahead and get on the wait list. We'll email you regularly to keep you updated. It's very, very close. We just want to make sure that everything is polished and completely ready for you so that it can be a high quality simulation. So fill out the form there. I'll just keep that up, and then we will move on to the Q&A.
So one question, Adam, that I saw that you could just jump on is, does that pricing include the simulation as well? So the $79.99.
Right.
What does that look like with the simulation or without?
Good question. So this price is just for the digital textbook, and that includes lifetime access to the text, but it won't include the simulation. The simulation, I didn't include the pricing on here because it's not officially launched yet, but it should be $59.99 for the simulation. And we will have a bundling discount. So if you use the textbook and sim together, we usually take off quite a bit of that bundle price. Usually it's about $20 discount. But if you get added to that wait list, we'll keep you updated on all the pricing info. All right, well, I'll move on to the rest of the questions then that I saw come through the chat. There was a lot of really good questions. So Nathan, does this eText grant students / faculty to such things as Data Studio, Facebook Analytics, etc.?
So everything that is provided, or everything that is presented, so all the different platforms, analytics tools that are presented, are free tools. And what I do in the video tutorials, because I'm mindful that as an instructor, half your job is getting the student into the tool, and that sometimes is the hardest part. So at the beginning of every video tutorial, I start with saying, here you are on a blank screen in Chrome, and let's get you into the tool. And so I get them into the tool, tell them how to set up an account, how to do it for free so they don't have to pay, they don't have to provide credit card information, which is also something that they might stumble upon. So get them into the tool and using the tool. And so they have access to everything that's talked about. The one exception is SEMrush. That is a paid tool, but Stu Kent has a partnership with SEMrush that allows the students to get a trial access. And so that's the only thing that has a caveat of they can't get in without going through some sort of wall. SEMrush is the only one where they have to use that trial access to get into it.
And we have codes built in for SEMrush that are in the assignment, so you can find a folder of those student codes in the assignment. Mm-hmm. Awesome. There was a really good question from Kristen. Is there a sequence to Stu Kent digital marketing texts? Where would this one fit if so?
Yep. Do you want me to take that, Adam?
I can answer it and then you can add to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that this textbook would be a great fit for a student that has already taken a course with Digital Marketing Essentials. So I think that it's a little bit more advanced, but if a student has already taken a digital marketing course, this would be ideal for them, especially if they're looking to go into digital marketing professionally. I would highly encourage them to take a course with this textbook.
And then my 2 cents on top of that is I designed the textbook so that there are no prerequisites needed. And so it doesn't require someone or a student to have taken statistics beforehand. It doesn't require someone to have taken a digital marketing class beforehand, because I provide the context and the background for statistics. I walk through how to do some statistical analysis using Excel and using Google Sheets. And so that's nice. So if you're worried like, oh, maybe they didn't learn this and they won't be able to handle the textbook, everyone can pick it up and run with it. Some people have used, and my philosophy with teaching digital marketing is to use analytics as the foundation of that course, because for me, digital marketing analytics is the language of digital marketing. And so I use this course not only when I'm teaching digital marketing analytics, but I use my textbook as well when I'm teaching digital marketing. And then I layer on top of the course some of those digital marketing platforms like WordPress and things like that on top of the analytics. So the nice thing is that it doesn't require prerequisite, but if you have a whole series of programs in digital marketing and you don't have digital marketing analytics as one of those classes, this would be a great complement to those other courses in digital marketing as well.
Great. Does the text, so Megan asked this question, does the text fit into an accelerated 6-week format nicely?
Say that again, sorry, you cut out.
Does the digital text fit into an accelerated 6-week course?
It definitely could. Within the lesson plans, there's options where it says teach over 2 class periods or teach over 1. And so what you would do is you would look at the lesson plans and then you would just opt to condense your instruction into 1. So that would take you from, so if you had 2 classes a week, that would take you down to the accelerated about 6 weeks. So you could do that. And definitely if you're having students do some work outside of class, I think that's very doable.
Great. So here's a really good question. Will it affect the student learning experience if 1 or 2 chapters in the second half are skipped?
It won't. So I would say you absolutely should teach the section on website analytics, which is Google Analytics, just because that's such a cornerstone and all the different channels drive to your website. So you definitely want to teach that, which is chapter 8. But then the rest of the chapters from chapter 8 to 15, I guess you could say you could pick and choose which ones you feel strongly about. I feel most strongly about teaching web analytics, teaching paid media analytics, earned media analytics, and competitive research. So that would be chapters 8, 13, 14, and 15. So you could skip, 9 through 12, but obviously they're going to be missing some value add that's provided in those chapters on some other different platforms. But you definitely could do that, and the students wouldn't feel lost when they got to chapter 13.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. Alex asked an interesting question. So will you be producing lecture videos similar to those available for the Digital Marketing Essentials course?
I would love to. So me and Adam talked about this briefly, especially with the environment right now with COVID. Lecture videos are such a luxury to have, because then you as the instructor, rather than just lecturing, you can have the students watch lecture videos outside of class, and then do the fun stuff in class, like case studies and more interactive discussions. And so that's the next step for us. And to be honest, I mean, since I just finished the textbook, there hasn't been any time to film videos, but that's something that's definitely on the roadmap.
Yeah, and at StuKent, we are fully aware of obviously the situation that a lot of educators are in, and that's something that we're striving to do over the next year, is to create more resources that make teaching an online course or hybrid course easier. So Nathan and I just talked about this the other day, actually, so that made me chuckle. I'm really excited to work with him on that, and that should be coming soon, so we'll keep you updated on that. All right, next question. Got a lot of questions. How much overlap is there with digital marketing analytics and the Digital Marketing Essentials textbook?
Want me to take that?
Yeah, sure.
So basically, the way I see it, so Digital Marketing Essentials, I've used that in classes. And what this is like a super zoom in on the chapter in Digital Marketing Analytics, Digital Marketing Essentials, which I believe is chapter 3, which is called Analytics. It's like very in-depth, and it takes that and it turns it into an entire book. And so there's overlap there, but not much overlap because it's only one chapter of content. Then the other overlap, which I think is good overlap, is Digital Marketing Essential talks about how to execute SEO programs. It talks about how to execute social, and it execute in various areas and on various platforms and media. And my textbook talks about those same media. It's just, instead of talking about this is how you create a Facebook post, it's talking about this is how you measure a Facebook post, and these are the metrics that are used, and these are the different dimensions that are used to measure performance on Facebook. So I would say the only overlap is the chapter 3, and just because he's talking about analytics at a high level, and then I talk about it at a high level and then get really in depth. And then there's great parallels because in the analytics textbook, we're talking about the same media that they talk about in the Essentials, Digital Marketing Essentials textbook.
Great. Another question: do you think that the first 6 chapters could be covered relatively faster in order to give more time to analytics and decision making, so the later chapters?
So the chapter 1, 2, and 3, those, I'm trying to get my fingers on camera. Okay, those 3 chapters are like background. They're why digital marketing analytics. It's who is a digital consumer, what is a digital company. You could go through those in 1 week. I really like those topics, and I like spending more time on them, and that's why I created chapters around them, especially digital consumer, because I like to freak out kids and say like, hey, that sounds bad, but I like them to like understand how much data is being collected about them. And that's what we talk about in digital consumer. And there's some activities in there that talk about, okay, look at your Google profile, like the advertising profile, and who they think you are and how old they think you are and what things you like and don't like. Look at your Google Maps history and see that Google knows everywhere you've been for the last 5 years. So things like that I enjoy, but you could go through it very quickly, and the students, I don't think, would get lost. So at least chapters 1 through 3, but then once you get to 4, 5, and 6, those start getting into things that are the foundation of the rest of the textbook. So you want to probably take a little more time on them, especially for where we're talking about the measurement model. I think that's a very important takeaway for the student, for them to understand business objectives, how they correlate to goals, and then how those goals correlate to KPIs. Because so many times people just throw out like, we have a goal, we have a KPI, we have an objective, and they don't understand like what they all mean and what a KPI even is. So I would say 1 through 3, you can accelerate through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you want to spend more time. And then someone was saying before, can we skip some of the later chapters? Yeah, you could. So you could create your own course, like choose your own adventure, like that. So skipping over the first 3 quickly, and then maybe skipping some of the later chapters if you don't have time to cover all the different platforms.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. All right. We'll probably just cover a couple more questions before hopping off today. So similarly to a previous question, how much overlap is there with your textbook and the marketing analytics textbook by Brennan Davis?
So me and Adam were talking about this recently as well. And so there's 3 different offerings from Stukent on analytics. There's the business analytics, there's the marketing analytics, and now there's the digital marketing analytics. And the way I see them is business analytics is the highest level. Then you have marketing analytics, which is under that umbrella. And then you have digital marketing analytics, which is under that umbrella of marketing analytics. So obviously, there's some things referenced in business analytics that's referenced in marketing analytics, and marketing analytics mentions some digital platforms like Google Analytics, and I mentioned those as well in the digital marketing analytics chapter. So here's my argument for the value add. So if your students are general business majors, yeah, maybe business analytics makes sense for them. If they're general marketing majors, maybe marketing analytics makes sense for them. But the more niche you get with the topic, so now we're pretty niche talking about digital marketing analytics specifically, the more skills I can give the students or teach the students that are specific to that industry and are in demand for job postings right now. And so my argument is that since it's very niche content, it's more specific, it's able to pull in and use tools that you would never see in a business analytics or a marketing analytics course just because they're too broad and they have to cover too much content. So that there is overlap, obviously, because they're the same theory of doing analytics for business. And then the difference would be that your students are just going to get much more in-depth information. And I would argue position themselves, if they are looking to go into digital marketing, they'd be able to position themselves very well after taking this sort of course where they have those resume builders that they'll be able to speak to.
Perfect. Yeah, I thought that was a great answer. I've been asked this a lot of times. So yeah, I think it depends on your audience. So what type of students are in your class? Are they wanting to get into a digital marketing career? If so, this is the perfect course. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining today. I really enjoyed it. I love doing these. I'm always nervous, but really grateful to you, Nathan. You always present so well.
Yep.
Thank you for creating this amazing resource for both educators and students. Can't wait to see it get used in class. And thanks everyone for joining. I hope you have a great rest of your day and weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. And bring in the feedback. We're updating this consistently. And so we want to make this as best a tool as possible for you and for the work that you're doing at your universities. So let us know what you think.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Mm-hmm.